60, 80, 100. And yeah, the floor does not look amazing. What's going on, everybody? Today, went to Home Depot and I rented a drum sander. Now, if you don't know what a drum sander is, it's just basically, it looks like a vacuum and it has a round sander on it and it's for sanding wood floors. So just got back to the house and the goal for today is to use the drum sander to sand the bottom floor, which is looking like shit because the house is 100 years old and they probably never did the floor. And then upstairs, it's painted. There's like 3 coats of paint on the upstairs and we're gonna take them down to that all natural. So just got home, gonna unload this drum sander and get to work. Now, I've personally never used the drum sander, so I really didn't know what to expect when I went to pick this thing up. It's not that heavy, but it's a little heavy, so it's really not terrible though. It's not terrible. I knew I was gonna have to like carry it upstairs, so it couldn't be all that bad. So if you were wondering how heavy it is, it's probably like a little bit more than the Jaws of Life. I forgot that I tied it down so it didn't roll in my truck, and that's what I'm going through right now. So we've made it out of the truck and into the gate with the drum sander. Look at this thing. Pretty basic. You lift the lid, slide your sandpaper on, and you're gonna put this lever down when you're ready to start moving forward and sanding. I have, again, like I said, never used a drum sander. So hopefully this goes well. These are gonna be the downstairs floors that we're gonna be starting with. And as you can tell, they are shot out. Right now, we're just like moving furniture, finding mad dust and dog hair, and getting everything out of the way. We're gonna start with like this strip. So, you know, from this side of the house to the other. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. But you can see that they're pretty worn down everywhere. Over here in like the dining room area, we'll move this furniture once it's time to get this side of the floor done. But equally as trashed over here, equally as trashed. And we're gonna make it equally as amazing over here. So in order to get rolling with the drum sander, we had to put on a piece of the sandpaper. Now I pre-purchased the sandpaper along with the rental. They range from anywhere from, I think they were like $7 to $16 a piece. Anyway, they slip right on the drum there. You get them, they fit pretty snugly, and then you just close the lid. And all you gotta do is plug the machine in. We're ready to go. I've got my cord flaked out. We're plugged in. The green light tells me we're good to go. Now currently I have the drum off the ground. You have to use this handle to lower the sander. So when you're stopped, you need to lift it, and when you're moving, you drop it down. So turning it on, maybe. So unfortunately, the machine that I rented ended up having a couple issues. However, here we are making the first pass with our drum sander. I watched a couple videos on this machine and it looked like people were going down, keeping with the grain of the wood, and then coming backwards down that same path, keeping with the grain of the wood. It was a little bit of a learning process. Now going forward with this thing, it was like being behind a self-propelled lawnmower. It was basically pulling me forward, and often it wanted to kind of pull to the left, kind of like it was out of alignment. But what do I know? And coming backwards, it's kind of like dragging a 150-pound person. Not that I know what that's like or anything. Now, I will admit that I did underestimate the amount of stain and clear coat that was on top of these floors, and I could have went with a heavier grit sandpaper on the drum machine from the jump. The drum sander will only get so close to the wall, so I will have to come back at some point with some type of edge or palm sander. From early on, it appeared to my naked eye that the drum sander was performing a halfway decent job, even though I had to keep dealing with the power. Now, as you can see here, I'm moving right along down the straight and narrow. However, this machine kept leaving these marks on the floor that I later find out are called chatter marks, which apparently comes from a machine that is off balance or off alignment. All right, a couple hours. Got to be a couple hours into this project, and I have completed pretty much the first layer of the first floor, minus the edges. Of course, you got to come back with a palm sander or whatever and hit your edges. But yeah, this is what we're looking like so far. Coming along well. Looks way better than it used to, and we're still gonna do probably another 2 grits on here to get it down to nice and clean and smooth as possible. But really just coming along pretty decently. What I'm gonna do now is switch the grits on the drum sander. So started out with a 60 grit, and now we're gonna go with 100 here. All right, so here we are. It is 7:30 at night, and I'm quite a bit. I'm 7 hours. I'm 7 hours into this project, if not 9 hours into this project. And yeah, what a shitty decision it was to DIY my wood floors, because it has been a complete ongoing nightmare. But it way better than where we started, which was this dark, shitty, peeling nastiness that was going on. And I have done the bottom floor all the way through, moving furniture as we go over to that section. We've done all that, and we've done 34, 60, 80, 100. And yeah, the floor does not look amazing as far as I'm concerned. So anyway, this is where we are. And sometimes, maybe you just shouldn't, maybe I should not just DIY everything. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just gotta call a professional. All right, so waking up the next day, the floors do not look as horrendous as I was thinking, and I'm not disappointed that I did the job. I am disappointed in the chatter marks, which you see there a little bit, but all in all, it's not terrible. I mean, the floor came out pretty decent. Now I still have to do all the edges, and we decided to do the stairs, and I have to do the second floor, which is a whole nother issue. But here's how we ended up looking on the bottom floor. Not too shabby. A lot of edge work left to do. Tried it with a palm sander. That was legitly a joke. So I'm gonna go back and rent this little edger machine, and hopefully it does a much better job on knocking all that out. But all in all, a decent project. Now, I must say, I do appreciate y'all taking the time to watch my nonsense on this Timmy B random video, Bob the Builder home improvement version. I hope you all have a lovely day. Make sure you hit subscribe, like, drop me a comment, and come back and see what kind of nonsense I get into next.